Hey, you guys, welcome to the Danger Zone. It's Ashley. Lots of love and many blessings your way. But of the day and hour knoweth no man. No, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Matthew 24:36 through 39. We've talked about cloning before in the past, but I'm kind of excited to share with you guys. I found a personal letter. It's an open letter, and I'll read that to you just after I finish saying these words. Feel like a PBS announcement. Here's one article I found, and this is from 12 years ago. And it says, a new form of cloning has been developed that is easier to carry out than the technique used to create Dolly the sheep, raising fears that it may one day be used on human embryos to produce designer babies. Scientists who used the procedure to create baby mice from the skin cells of adult animals have found it to be far more efficient than the Dolly technique, with fewer side effects, which makes it more acceptable for human use. The mice were made by inserting skin cells of an adult animal into early embryos produced by in vitro fertilization, IVF. Some of the resulting offspring were partial clones, but some were full clones, just like Dolly. The technique involves the genetic reprogramming of skin cells so they revert to an embryonic-like state. When the breakthrough was used on human skin cells for the first time, why? Who knows? It was lauded by the Catholic Church and President George Bush as morally acceptable way of producing embryonic stem cells without having to create or destroy human embryos. Why were they doing that? The experiments on mice demonstrated that it is now possible, in principle, to take a human skin cell, reprogram it back to its embryonic state, and then insert it into an early human embryo. The resulting child would share some of the genes of the person who supplied the skin tissue, as well as the genes of the embryos to parents. It's a tetraploid. That's all it is, a tetraploid embryo. At this point, there are no laws or regulations for this kind of thing, and the bizarre thing is that the Catholic Church and the other traditional stem cell opponents think this technology is great when in reality it could, in the end, become one of their biggest nightmares. It's quite possible that the real legacy of this whole new reprogramming and programming technology is that it will be introducing the era of designer babies. That's beyond. So for instance, if we have a few skin cells from Albert Einstein or anyone else in the world, you could have a child that is, say, 10% or 70% of Albert Einstein by just injecting a few of their skin cells into an embryo. Cloning's been a reality for as long as, man has ever thought about it, I imagine. It's not something that just poof in the 90s, or 80s. Let's try this. No, it's not that way. I believe in my heart of hearts, cloning's been around for thousands of years. And where we get our technology from, is another video in itself. But I just want people to understand that it would be different if this article said, we're working on therapeutic treatments for things such as Parkinson's or strokes or Alzheimer's or cancer, or we're going to eradicate, childhood cancer. All of this big deal stuff should have been eradicated. And it's not. So tell me, why are they taking skin cells and modifying genetically mice and reproducing embryos? Or Dolly the sheep? What was the purpose if they're not going to use it to eradicate all of these sicknesses? They talk about let's extend our life, and all you need is a big freezer and step in it for 10 minutes 3 times a week, and you're going to live to be 112, or at least have the skin of a teenager when you're 70. I mean, if they know that, then why can't they use this for the better, the better good, I guess, the greater good. And they're not. They're very selfish. There's a reason. There's a method to their madness. And that's going to be in an upcoming video. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to take a few of these people in these pictures, this Joker with Justin Timberlake, for example, and I'm going to dig into his background, and I'm going to see who and what he was in his lifetime, and see how that lines up with Justin Timberlake or Charlie Sheen and the guy that, is in the picture with him, or, you know what I'm saying? I just kind of want to see if they have parallels in their lives, if that matches up. I hope that makes any sense whatsoever. All right, so let's get on with this. I just want to read this letter. I can't even believe I stumbled upon it. I'm trying to go as fast as I possibly can, but this letter was written by Lauren S. Hardy on Sunday, the 23rd of March, 1997, and it says, "Please post this everywhere an identical clone can read. A message to all those racist people, including governments and religions, who haven't learned how to help themselves yet. Since I am a bona fide human clone against millions of others, I am finding all this debate about human cloning a bit offensive to myself and others I know and love, kind of smacking me in the face as though I am being discriminated against in a way, kind of like black people of the world and of our country were and are still being treated. In case you haven't learned it yet, guys, discrimination and racism of any race or group of people is wrong, unlawful, and extremely immoral. Human clones exist today in me and in the hundreds of millions of others. We are not a small group, and we are not deserving to be subject of racism and discriminatory talk any more than any other race, religion, or people are. Public notice, I am hereby putting the United States nation on notice that such continued inflammatory talks is paramount to slander and racism on a grand scale, and I formally demand that this stupid inflammatory debate be stopped. Also, I require a letter from the President of this nation to this nation be entered into the public record and televised live, since this stupid debate has been publicized the same, recognizing our human rights as any other person of this nation or world have. We are alive and human and are a formal part of every race, religion, and culture today on earth, and always have been. I think it's time that all clones of this world stand up and claim our right in a way that people can ignore to exist, procreate, and have normally acceptable lives as any other individual. This issue of whether human clones have rights to exist and do any and all things as any other individual must stop. To not stop is paramount, admitting as a society that this society has not recognized our human rights of existence from the beginning of the nation as being equal as any other white, black, Hispanic, or any other race in this nation or world. I think that it's time that all human clones pull together to fight this issue, and we may, just like the blacks, Hispanics, and other races, need to fight it out in the courts regarding our rights of existence and procreation. It goes on to say, if any other non-clone people can have normal non-clone babies in a way they see fit, so can we have normal to us clone babies, no matter how many clones we choose to make in this world, the same way as they do. We have a right to create offspring that of our own clone selves. This is our nature. We have lots of common law, jurisprudence, to back us up in any court of the land. All identical clones, like it or not, are the people or race of the clone. To be a clone is to be human. If other people can have test tube babies, we should have these rights also. And if our offspring is just like us, born a human clone, just like we were born a clone, well, that's our natural right. We have always had that right. No one can take that right away from us without an enormous fight. Even if we lose the fight in the courts, no person or judge or country can take the right from us. The right is now. It's innate. And then it goes on to say any other human clones out there and their parents who would like to come together with me to form a potential class action civil and criminal prosecution of all opposition to our rights of existence as a people and free abilities to reproduce other clones naturally or otherwise being recognized the same as normal people, please send me your name, address, phone number, and email. Let me know how much funds you will pledge to this fighting, if needed. Just to let you know, if we have to go to court to fight for these rights, there will be a hefty cost. I will expect all people joining the court action cause to participate in the funding. The blacks had to do it. The homosexuals had to do it. People of many religions had to do it. I guess it looks like as if we're going to have to do it too. Fight for our rights in court. Sincerely, Lauren Hardy, trustee for World Humanitarian Resource Network. Now, I don't know what to make of that. That's quite bizarre to me. I'd like to know your opinions on it, to be honest. Anyway, you guys, if you'd like to know anything in specific regarding cloning, I'd rather you guys leave it in the comments, the questions that you might have, and I'll tackle it that way versus like find something on it and go on a bullet point. I've kind of always done it that way, and I'd like to be a little more personable and tackle things on an in specific, particular basis. I certainly appreciate you sitting through and listening to this. You guys have a great rest of the week. Oh my God, the week. It's the weekend, you guys. I'll see you real soon. We'll talk real fast. Be blessed. And to my loyal viewers, I get a lot of comments that tell me how much you guys appreciate me and my efforts. I just want to thank you very much. YouTube is on me real hard, and lately, for sure, I get the whole placenta thing or the adrenochrome. That might have freaked people out. But, you know, when you can pull up a child's autopsy on YouTube and that's not a problem, yeah, I don't understand why I'm being threatened. So, just so you know what's going on, it's just ridiculous. But I'm fixing to fax them a letter this afternoon and hopefully, you know, get some resolution to it. If not, oh well, I'll take what they give me. You guys be blessed. Enjoy your weekend, and y'all stay very much safe.